What's an experience you've had that you can't explain with logic? Not safe for work, part 2. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. So, serious point here, and I've even had my wife observe it to make sure I am not nuts. Along the lines of the screwdriver, I will randomly lose things. I will set them down and they will disappear for a day or two and then reappear. I took off my watch, put it on the counter to wash my hands, and it just wasn't there when I got done. I looked for it and had my wife look for it. I even told her where it was when I took it off. 2 days later, we walk into the bathroom, and it's right there, on the edge of the sink, like I'd just taken it off. Stuff like that happens all the time. I just joke that me in another dimension needed it for the day, or two, so they took mine, and don't worry about it, because the stuff inevitably comes back. When I was a teenager, I was home from school, and a young girl started screaming my name in the middle of the house over and over. There was no young girl there, nor did I know one. The house was completely empty. Or was it? I once dreamed that I was on a walk in an area I've only walked once, halfway across the island from where I live, telling someone that I was going to College B. When I woke up, I was confused, since the road wasn't generally used for walking, and I was planning to go to College A since I was young, and College B was never an option because of the distance, so I forgot about the dream. About a year later, due to course offerings, I decided to go to College B. And I kid you not, we went on a special walking event about 2 weeks later. Someone asked me what college I'm going to, and I told them I was going to College B, at the exact stretch of road I dreamt of. When I experienced the deja vu, I thought back and remembered the dream. I'm a little late here, but I somehow intuitively knew my dad was going to die. He wasn't ill or old. A little over a month before he died, I was living with my parents and getting ready to move out of state for the first time. I told my mom I was scared Dad would die when I was gone. I was so upset and crying about it, completely unconsolable. She told me it was silly. He was healthy, the healthiest he had been in decades. He had been really stressed about money, but he always seemed so happy still. That was late August. He died October 23rd. Widowmaker heart attack. No signs or symptoms. Looked the ER doctor in the eye and died, just like that. He was an amazing, amazing man, my best friend. His funeral was filled with people standing in the back of a big, crowded room. A couple of days ago, I had 5.5 hours just disappear from me. I woke up at 9 a.m., puttered around the house for a while. At 12, I sat on the couch to look at some memes, blinked, and it was 5:30 p.m. According to my dad, I'd just been sitting there staring at nothing for 5.5 hours. It wasn't even a second to me. My brain just shut off. Wasn't short on sleep, wasn't sick. Endless scroll. I don't gamble, never played a slot machine. Wake up one morning humming the theme to an old TV show, I Dream of Jeannie. Driving with girlfriend in the country, pass a reservation with a casino. I say, let's go in and get a coffee. All the while, this song won't leave my head. That's normal enough. Get out of our coffee and pass an I Dream of Jeannie slot machine. Put in $5. Bet it all on one play, all while joking it must be a sign, and boom, get a nice payout. Just a funny coincidence, I'm sure. But that still gives me a kick to think about. I was once with 3 of my friends riding to go meet up with our other coworkers at a party. We got to the building and all loaded into the elevator. Then we hear a thunk. We all look down and see a full glass of orange juice unspilled now in the middle of the elevator that was not there when we got in. We all looked at the same time, then back down at it. The only drinks we were carrying was a case of beer. No one had orange juice, let alone a loose cup of it. We did not touch it, just got out at our stop. To this day, I wonder where the F it came from. A couple of years ago in autumn, I stayed at a friend's place in the countryside. It's in southern Austria, a beautifully hilly area, not many houses or people around. One sunny afternoon, I put my headphones on, listened to music, and went for a walk. It was the time of the year where all fruits were ripe in that area. There were a lot of apple trees, grapes, pears, and so on. Since I visited my friend for the first time and didn't know where to go, I decided to just go straight through the fields up and down the hills. I snacked a lot on fresh fruit along the way. It was a really magic walk on a lovely sunny afternoon. At one point, I got a bit tired and decided to sit down and relax before heading back. I lay down in the grass in the sun and fell asleep. When I woke up, it had started to get dark and I was surprised that I had slept so long. It also stressed me out a bit because I had walked for at least 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon straight through the countryside, so there were no streetlights. I didn't bring a flashlight because I didn't think I would be gone for so long, and since I hadn't been there before, I didn't know my way back, which was why I decided to just go straight in the first place, so that I would find my way back later. So anyway, I wasn't too happy about the situation I was in, but got up to walk back, and when I was standing, I saw that my friend's house was in eyesight, meaning reachable within 5 minutes walk. Until today, I have no idea how that was possible. I couldn't have walked in a circle. That would have been too obvious in the environment. It couldn't really have been a dream because I recognized the direction in which I was going past the point I was sitting, and I wouldn't know why I would sit down after 5 minutes walk to rest. It was the only time something like that ever happened to me. Very strange story on a beautiful, magic sunny day. My dog teleported once into the couch. When my dog, Beagle, was a puppy and learning to use the dog door, he went outside through the dog flap. I remember this because he was still so small that he struggled to get in and out because of the height. And after a while, we got worried because he didn't come back in. We went outside and looked for him, called his name, checked the fences for holes in case he escaped, went back inside, called his name, looked everywhere. My dad told us it was a very possible a hawk swooped down and got him, and we were crying and still looking for him, but my dad's far-fetched idea seemed more and more realistic because he was just gone. We heard this faint whimpering after a while, and he was somehow stuck in the couch at the bottom. My dad had to turn it over and cut the mesh lining stuff on the bottom because he was somehow inside of it. This was one of those old sleeper sofas, so unless he had no bones, he couldn't have realistically got that deep into the couch, and there was no tearing on the mesh. To this day, how he did it is a mystery, unless he encountered some kind of wormhole or portal that led into the bottom of the couch. When I was in 3rd grade during recess, we snuck off to the cemetery behind the school. It was October, getting cold, and lots of colorful leaves everywhere, which made me happy. Me and 3 other girls went into a family crypt and noticed the cement casket-sized tomb was slightly opened and peeked inside. For some reason, I felt like we would see snakes or something, but it was empty. I got the feeling we needed to leave, and I started walking back first. I was yelling at the other girls to let's go. When I finally had enough, I said, let's go now, like my mom did when us kids didn't listen. But as I said it, I stomped my foot down. I didn't know it, but I was standing on a grave, and I literally felt this beating or pounding under my feet 4 times really quickly. What is so weird about it was that I felt it and heard it, as if someone was banging on a wooden door. I remember jumping up and screaming. I looked at the girls and they just stared at me. This was in upstate New York. I'm 36 years old now and can take you to exactly where I was when it happened. Let's go. Premonitions. My mate and I sitting in KFC drive-thru, and he's going off his head because of the waiting times. I saw a guy walk out of KFC and start walking to his car, and I said, you'll be even more pissed off when that guy reverses into the car in front of us. You'll be waiting even longer. The guy reverses straight out into the car in front of us. My mate told me to get out of his car because I was a demon, lol, no shit. Have heaps of other stories. Mostly I just predict what random people are going to say. It freaks me out. Like, I'll be thinking something random like, how now, brown cow? And someone nearby says, how now, brown cow? Freaks me out. It happens a lot. When I was in high school, I was a camp counselor. I made friends with another leader and we instantly clicked. One of those friendships that transcends groups or sexes and continues forever regardless of distance between the people or length of time since we last spoke. We were working at a camp where once a week you left cabins and actually went camping, sleeping in tents, cooking over an open fire, etc. One of those camping nights after lights out, I had a terrible nightmare about my friend. He was drinking heavily and died in a horrible car crash. I couldn't sleep after that and got up to sit by the fire with the leaders whose turn it was to stay up for the night. A few minutes later, one of the campers got up because of a bad dream. As I sat talking with her about it, she essentially had the same bad dream. My friend drinking heavily and ending up in a car crash. Needless to say, I was freaked. My friend laughed it off, saying he was immortal. 3 years later, he died after drinking and rolling his car. I chose a horrible time to take a nap when my kids were young. It was the middle of the day. They were playing with their toys and crayons in their bedroom about 10 feet from my room. My eyes got heavy, so I thought I'll take a quick nap. At this point, they had already gone unsupervised for about 15 minutes. I distinctly remember drifting off to sleep when I heard a loud male voice yell in my right ear, "Get up!" It sent an electric jolt-like feeling through my body. I was instantly energized in a way. I got up and ran over to my kid's room to find my son had taken the shade off the lamp, tipped the lamp on its side, so now there's a very hot light bulb resting on top of a polyester pillow. I froze a second, amazed there wasn't any burn marks or anything, but when I grabbed the lamp, the friction ignited the pillow with a crazy fireball that burnt the lamp cord, severing it immediately. I ran to the bathroom with the flaming pillow in my hand, and the fire was quickly running out of the pillow. But the bathroom door was locked. It was one of those doorknobs with a hole that we would poke with a long nail to unlock. The nail was above me on the door molding. I did get the pillow to the tub eventually. When it was all over, I surveyed the incident, in shock. There's no chance whatsoever at least one of my kids wouldn't have been badly burnt if I hadn't gotten up the moment I did. Then, I thought about that voice. It was angry at me. I felt ashamed at my neglect. I didn't recognize the voice, no idea who or what it was. I've never forgotten every detail of that day. When I was in 4th grade, I lived with my aunt and uncle and used to play on my cousin's PlayStation in the computer room while she was still at whatever after-school program she did. So one day I was just casually playing some Ratchet & Clank, nothing out of the ordinary. I stop, do homework, my cousin and everyone else gets home, etc. Then we eat dinner. In passing, my cousin mentions how she was up all last night playing Call of Duty or something. And I'm like, you brought your PlayStation up there and then took it back down? And she was like, no, I moved it to my bedroom yesterday morning. It was a snow day the day before. So I told her that someone must have put it back in the computer room. So we go and check and it isn't there. I was absolutely baffled because I wasn't in her bedroom and I 100% was just playing Ratchet & Clank in the computer room. Weird as shit. I've often joked about probability of a poltergeist in this house, but really have assumed I'm just more forgetful than I realize. I can explain 2 of the things that happened here. One evening, while having a beer with a friend in the living room, I took my glasses off and set them down on the table in front of me. It's my habit to lay them open, flat, and with the lenses upside down but facing me. Later in our conversation, I started to read something and I reached for my glasses, but they weren't there. My friend had seen me set them down and joined in looking for them. We both assumed they'd been knocked off the table. After a few minutes of frustrated searching, I said I'd run upstairs to grab my spare pair, and there they were, laying exactly as if I'd set them down right near the keyboard. I ran back down, holding the glasses, laughing that my memory must be really going because I was certain I'd had them on and set them down in the living room. My friend's eyes got huge, and then she started freaking out. I saw them on your face when we sat down, and I saw you set them down. Don't F with me. I tried to just laugh it off and told her that this sort of thing happens all the time, but she continued to get more upset and left shortly after that. Doesn't like to be in my house anymore unless there are more friends with us. I continue to be baffled by that moved item incident and the other incidents very like it. Normally there's no witnesses, so it's easy enough to just shake my head and keep spare tools, etc. on hand. I can't explain it. I also can't explain why there's always pennies on the floor, randomly, out in the open, in every room. Sweep, vacuum, mop, doesn't matter. I'll just be walking through a room and see a penny on the floor. I live alone and rarely carry cash. All coins go into a big jar on a bookshelf. I've been here 30 years and still there are pennies on the floor. Mine can basically be labeled psychedelics, but I ate mushrooms a month ago alone in my apartment and I experienced some visuals but nothing crazy. But to this day, if I go out in nature and just kind of stare off, it's like I can start tripping again. I guess what's interesting to me is if I'm looking at trees and grass and stuff, it happens so much more intense, and it's weird that it is still happening. When my sister and I were 10 and 12, we were up late watching Saturday Night Live in our family room. Our little brother, he was 4 at the time, used to sleepwalk. We saw him walk across the living room floor. The family room was an addition to the living room, made it kind of one big room separated by a step, and head to the kitchen door. He'd left the house through this door before while sleepwalking. Without saying a word, my sister and I looked at each other and got up and to put him back to bed. We went to the kitchen and he wasn't there. The kitchen was about 20 feet from his room, so we peeked in his room and saw him sound asleep. I asked my sister, did she see him too? She said, yeah, he walked across the living room into the kitchen. We both saw him. We're not sure what happened. When I was living with a girlfriend of 5 years at that point, we both had a shared dream experience where we were in some rundown old house. She keeps on being chased and attacked by some sort of red fox that was kind of ghostly looking, and that one was always being followed by a smaller blue one. Well, at any rate, I constantly got in the way and would push back the attacker while she gained more distance. By the end of the dream, the red one eventually bit down onto my arm and injured me, causing me to get mad and somehow evaporated the red one, which made the blue one kind of vanish of its own accord. When we awoke at the same time, we filled in little details that we individually remembered but didn't convey. And here's the best part. We both had scratches and red marks on our bodies when we received injuries in the shared dream.